I was depressed. I had very dark thoughts. I didn't want to travel. I would think if I get on the airplane, it's probably going to crash. If I walk out to cross the street, a bus may hit me.
Sometimes the hardest thing that we have to leave isn't a place, it's a feeling. And today we're talking about anger, grief, and resentment. And it's the kind that doesn't just pass through, but actually stays with you. And what we don't talk about enough is what it costs you to hold on to those feelings. It can cost you your peace, your sleep, your health, and even how you see yourself. My guest today, Kelly Harris, has lived through a devastating personal loss. And for a while, she carried deep anger and pain. She decided she was not going to let that anger take the rest of her life from her. And today we're going to talk about what that journey looked like and what it really takes to let go and reclaim your peace. Kelly is the author of Confessions of a Grieving Mother, and through her platform, Life Gems for Her, she helps women build lives that feel intentional, grounded, and honest. She supports women in understanding their needs, honoring their growth, and trusting their inner voice. Kelly, welcome to Exit with Fire.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I feel very thankful to talk about this with you.
Thank you.
Kelly, why don't we start with you telling a little about your background and what you do today?
Okay, so I am 40. I work as a claim professional by day, and by night, I empower women through my platform, Life Gems for Her. However, my journey through grief and suffering started about 8 years ago when I had to bury my 16-day-old infant son. And that experience really reshaped how I see faith, pain, strength, and purpose. So today I help women get through the ups and downs of life, not by pretending that the pain doesn't exist, but by teaching them how to draw strength from God so the hardship doesn't overtake them. I don't teach women how to avoid the pain. That's not realistic. I teach them how to carry it without letting it carry them.
That's why I'm really glad we're having this conversation because a lot of times we're thinking about exits from a job or relationship, but exit with fire, it's also about leaving those internal prisons we create for ourselves. So when we experience grief or anger and we don't deal with it, those emotions they trap us. And when we stay stuck with them, they can start to affect our health, our peace, and other areas of our lives in ways we don't even notice at first.
Yes.
So, walk us through a little bit more about your story and how it changed your life, and also how you came to be helping other women as well.
My son, his name is Kason. Me and my ex-husband, we were trying to conceive him for approximately about 3 years, and we could not get pregnant. And of course, I'm praying and pleading with God because I really wanted to be a mom. And about 2017, in August, we were going to start infertility treatments to go ahead and try to get some help. However, I got pregnant the month before naturally. I was like, oh my God, this is my miracle baby. This is great. Pregnancy was going great all the way up until like month 9. Even at the 20-week scan, they were like, he's perfectly healthy, he's fine. Um, about no, it was about month 8. It was like literally right before delivery. I went to just for my regular checkup, and the doctor was like, "Oh, I think I hear like a something going on with his heart. Let me send you over to the specialist." So we went over to the specialist office, which was like right in the next building. And when she came in the room, she did an ultrasound on the baby, and it lasted like an hour. So I knew something was going on because it was very long. And so when she came back into the room, she said, "Sit down." So I was like, "Okay, this is not good news." And she told us that our son has something called hypoplastic left heart syndrome, and we needed to get in with the pediatric cardiologist. And so we did that. Um, and also, the second miracle that I thought in this situation was the pediatric cardiologist that we had ended up getting in with was actually my niece's heart surgeon from 12 years prior. So it was like, what a coincidence that I end up with the same surgeon 12 years later. And it's at a different hospital. It's not even at the same hospital he did my niece's surgery. So definitely wasn't expecting him. So I was like, okay, God is really doing his thing, you know?
He's working it out.
He's working it out. That's where I was at the moment. Fast forward, have my son, very, very rough labor, ended up having him via C-section. He has the left heart syndrome. The doctor was like, he's gonna be fine. He'll be here 2 weeks. Go in, do the surgery, and he'll be home in 2 weeks. This is only a 1% fatality. Like we see kids with this syndrome all the time. They go home fine. And with it in the back of my mind that my niece had surgery 12 years ago at the same doctor, it like fear never crossed my mind because I already had been through it with my niece. So I was just like, okay, well, we'll have a baby, we'll have the surgery, we'll go home, and everything is going to be okay. Um, so he ended up having an open heart surgery at 2 days old, and the surgery was supposed to be 6 hours, and the surgery ended up being 17 hours.
Mm.
So as I'm waiting and waiting and waiting to hear from the doctor, like, they call you throughout the surgery and check in. They like everything is going okay. So 17 hours pass, the doctor comes into the room and he says, well, what we saw on the imaging didn't really match what we saw when we got in there. His heart was a little worse off than what we spoke about. So I was like, okay, well, is he still going to be okay? Like, is he going to be able to live a normal life? You know, just give me some hope here. And
Mm-hmm.
so he said he's fine. He's going to be okay. We just have to get through these first couple of days. It's going to be up and down, but that's just the way it goes when you have surgery. He may take 2 steps forward, and we may have to go 1 step back. But I don't anticipate anything bad happen. And he was like, I'm actually planning. I already had a 2-week vacation plan. However, if he's not doing well before I leave, I will not go. I said, okay. So the very next day, so this will be day 3, he's alive. He coded. So
Mm.
they had to crash him and bring him back. So at that point, we know he's not doing well, right?
Right.
Well, the day after that, the surgeon decided he was going to go on his vacation, and he didn't say, you know,
Wait, you said the day after that?
the day after that. So we know that's what I like. The surgeon's like, if he's not doing well, I won't go.
Yeah.
But
Clearly.
he left anyway. And so in the medical field, if a surgeon does a surgery, it's usually difficult to get a different surgeon to go back into that same surgery to do it. So they had a backup surgeon. I was, comfortable with that. Like, okay, there's somebody here to keep this process moving. Surgeon left, went on a two-week vacation. During that time that he was gone, my son was just deteriorating day by day. He was getting worse and worse. My thought would be the backup surgeon would go in to see
Yes.
what was causing the deterioration, his levels to be so high in his blood work, but he didn't do that. He just kind of kept him comfortable. They put him on the ECMO machine, and they was like basically just keeping him comfortable. Then slowly his kidneys started failing, then his liver started failing, and they were just keeping him alive on the machine basically. They didn't try
Mm.
to go back into his heart, see what was wrong, see what else they could repair. Nothing. They just waited until the original surgeon came back. So the original surgeon, he returns day 14, and he said he calls. I was at home that morning, and he calls and he says, I went in this morning, and first of all, he went in and did the exploratory surgery without me being there. Like, you should have called me and said, I'm going to start the surgery at this time. Can you be here? That was the expectation.
Yeah.
So he goes in and does this exploratory surgery. He's like, oh, I found a leaky valve. I repaired it. I'm hopefully optimistic everything is going to be okay. I hate that word now. I hate
Hmm.
it. Hopefully
Hmm.
optimistic everything is going to be okay. And then about 20 minutes later, I get a call from the nurse. So I get down to the hospital. I get down to the hospital, and my stomach was like tore up. So I stopped at the restroom, go up to the room, and I walk in and I see at least 30 doctors and nurses around my son's bed. And I'm like, oh my God, this cannot be good. This cannot be good. So I walk over to my son. He's still alive, and he looks at me, and he
Oh.
took his last breath.
Mm,
and all the machines started beeping,
mm,
and I lost it.
mm,
And we went out into the hallway and waited while they worked on him. And then they came into the hallway, and we're sorry, he passed away. He was 16 days old. So we spent some time in a room with him, just holding him because the whole time he was there, I held him one time before the
mm.
surgery. After the surgery, we couldn't hold him because he had so many machines and wires hooked up to him. So I just held him and talked to him. Um, there was one thing that gave me peace in that situation to where I probably didn't stroke out or have a heart attack was he looked so at peace. I have a picture of him and he looks like he's smiling in his sleep. And
Mm,
that's the only thing that gave me peace because I knew that he was in the arms of God and all the pain, all the poking, the pricking it was over with.
yeah.
But that gave me peace. So I was able to, get through that moment. But it did shatter me. And then the icing on the cake was we were there a couple hours. The heart surgeon never came to the room. His nurse came, but he never came. In that moment, I was like, well, maybe he did not come because he's operating on another child.
Hmm.
However, when we left and walked out of the room, he was standing in the hallway talking to a colleague. And that right there is what I think broke me because how inhumane is that? Like you have a patient that's 16 days old, you just did a surgery on them an hour ago, they died, and you don't even come give your condolences to the family. And the anger set in because I felt like you were guilty because you knew it. Had you not taken that 2 week vacation, whatever you did today probably needed to have been done 2 weeks ago, and his body would have never deteriorated.
Was the
So
other doctor there?
the other doctor was there. He
Hmm.
was there the whole 2 weeks he was there, but he never went in and did the exploratory surgery and found the leaky valve that was, supposedly
Hmm.
repaired.
Hmm.
So I sat in that anger and that grief for a long time, and it was really bad because I couldn't even really cry the first 3 months after he passed away. I was so angry.
So it sounds like strongest emotion for you that you had to struggle with was your anger. Would you say that that's correct?
Yes, I would say that was correct. The anger was the strongest emotion initially because it was phases. Initially, I was angry, and then I was anxious and depressed, and then I was
Mhm.
hopeless. It was it wasn't just one. It started with anger, and then once I got through the anger, it went to something else.
The real damage isn't a lot of the times what happened in the event. It's that emotional state that we stay in for too long. When you were holding on to all of that, what did you feel like it was costing you personally?
It was costing me my peace. It was costing me my health. I was literally one of the most healthiest people. I just went to my annual checkups. That was it. Never went to the doctor outside of an annual checkup. I'd never get colds, flus, nothing. After he passed away, and I sat in that anger and that grief, and I wasn't moving. I never dealt with anxiety. And when people would say I have anxiety, I always just felt like you worried about something. I didn't know that it's a physical response that your body gives you, that your mind gives you. And it was crippling. Um, I couldn't leave my house. That's how crippling it was. I developed social anxiety. I couldn't be around people. It was really bad. I was depressed. I had very dark thoughts. I didn't want to travel. I would think if I get on the airplane, it's probably going to crash. If I walk out to cross the street, a bus may hit me because I felt like if something so bad could happen to such an innocent child, why wouldn't something bad
Mm.
happen to me? This baby came into the world, haven't, did anything to anybody, and this terrible thing happened to him. Then what can happen to me? And those were like the thoughts that I was wrestling with. And it just got so deep that I became hopeless. I kind of felt like I'm never gonna feel better. Like there's no way that I can ever get out of this because even when I laugh, I feel guilty. Because why are you
Mm,
laughing? Your baby just died. You shouldn't be laughing. You shouldn't be experiencing joy. You just had a baby die. And
hmm.
on top of that, your hormones are going crazy because your body just made this baby. It's preparing
Yeah.
to nurture it, to feed it. And so you have the baby, and now your body's like, okay, well, where is this baby that I just made?
Mm,
So your hormones are all over the place. The emotional toll that it took, it was just anxiety, depression, hopelessness,
hmm.
dark thoughts. It was just a combination. It was just things that you don't think about when someone say they lost someone, how it alters their being. That was really my first big loss at the time. My grandparent was still living, my mom still living, my father was still living. So that was like my first big loss of, to death.
Anyone around you that was trying to talk to you and get you through this?
I did. So that is kind of where the change I had. Thank God I had four friends that was really there. And it's funny because I have two Britneys and two Stacys. And so those are my four friends, and they came every day. They sat with me. They made sure I got out to eat. They brought food. They got me into church. They didn't let me suffer alone, and I'm forever thankful for them for that. They showed up, and I learned during that time that when something traumatic happened, the people you expect to be there are not going to be there. I had a lot of expectations because I have a big friend circle. I had 12 bridesmaids.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I expected more support, than I got.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I also learned in that season that when something so traumatic like that happens, people just don't know what to say. Even though
So they avoid
they
you.
right, they avoid you, so they don't
Hmm.
know what to say, so they don't say nothing at all. When people are going through something like that, they just want you to sit with them. They just want somebody there. And that was my
Hmm.
big thing. I just didn't want to be alone because when I was alone, that's when the grief was really heavy and the thoughts were really loud.
At some point, something shifted for you to start your healing process. Would you say that it was a gradual thing? Was it a moment? Was it something
Uh,
someone said to you? Like, how was that process?
It was definitely a process. It wasn't dramatic. It was definitely a discipline process. I definitely believe that pain, sitting in your pain is a choice. I believe that. I believe that you have to move through it. You have to make a decision that I'm not going to let this pain take me out. So that's what I did because at this point I'm going to cardiologists, I'm going to neurologists, I'm going to gastrologists, I'm going to all kind of doctors because my body is literally shutting down on me. I'm on heart
Mm.
medication, all of these things. So I was like, I have to get out of this. I have to do what I have to do for myself. So I started going to individual therapy. I had a therapist. She was a little 70-year-old lady, and she had been through a traumatic event. Her husband had passed away, and we kind of bonded over
Experience.
her experience and how she got through that, and how she was thriving now, even after being with him. They had been together like 50 years. I'm like, how do you go
Mm.
on after
Yeah.
having that person in your life for so long?
Mhm.
So I went to therapy with her for a long time. Then at church, we had a group therapy called Grief Share. And in
Mhm.
Grief Share, everyone shared their story of loss, and it's a workbook. You work through it and how to work through these things. I read a lot of books, ton of books about grief and navigating and child loss. One of the biggest things I would say that helped me was a podcast that I listened to, and there was two ladies that talked about losing their kids and how they navigated that process through God. And so when I started listening to that podcast and hearing how they survived, then it kind of put a switch on in my head that say, if they did it, you can do it. You can do it. You can get out of this space. And so from there forward, everything that I tried to surround myself in was positivity with God. I can't tell you how many Joyce Meyer's books I read. Joel Osteen. I was watching
Mhm.
church. When I couldn't talk, I just listen to worship music. Like I had to not isolate myself and keep my mind in a positive space. Um, I just prayed. I leaned into scripture. I changed how I talk to myself. I had to remind myself that your thoughts are not, they don't mean anything. They're just thoughts. And sometimes we let our minds run wild and we have to think about what we're thinking about. And
Mhm.
once I realized that just because I'm thinking it doesn't make it true, then it was a game changer.
I've heard you say on your platform is don't stay stuck over people who are clearly letting go of you. Nobody is worth losing you.
Yes.
And I know you were referring to maybe personal relationship. You can also relate that to the doctor, how he kind of just left and didn't give it a second thought. How do you not lose yourself and become stuck there?
So for that, going to the group therapy, the grief share, there was a chapter that we went through called forgiveness. And it really spoke to me because when you are holding on to anger, it's only hurting you. The person that wronged you, they're living their life. And so I said to myself, this doctor, he's still making his money, going on his vacations. He probably hadn't thought 2 times about my son that passed away on his watch. And here I am over here struggling on heart medication, going to see every kind of doctor there is because I'm so angry that he let my child die. And in that chapter, they talk about you have to forgive people and you have to let God deal with them because they're going to have their day. So literally, I felt the Holy Spirit move in me that day in the class, and I was just crying because I was like, I have to release this anger. I have to let it go. I have to let God deal with him. And so I said my prayer and I just said, God, take this resentment from me, take this anger from me. And I trusted because you said in the Bible, vengeance is mine, that you're going to take care of it. He's going to have to answer to you. And at the time, I was even talking to lawyers to file a suit. And that was draining because I had to tell the story over and over and over every time I talked to a new person. So I was like, I don't even want to file a suit anymore. I literally removed him from my mind that day and decided I'm going to let this anger go. I'm going to forgive him and I'll let God deal with him.
That's the part that people get wrong. They don't want to release the anger. They want to
Right.
hold on to that because they feel that that's what's giving them strength to keep going or whatever emotion, big emotion they're feeling. They don't want to forgive. But forgiveness is for you. It doesn't
It's for
mean
you.
that you're saying that what happened was okay. It's saying that you're releasing that emotion because the emotion was controlling you, was
Yeah.
controlling your life. And with what you've been through, something like that, that's so incredibly unforgivable, you
Yeah.
found the strength to forgive.
It was tough, but it was like either I'm gonna forgive him or I'm gonna die. I was having heart palpitations, migraine headaches, dizziness, blurred vision, stomach pains, chest pains. It was literally destroying my body. So I didn't have a choice. I didn't want the grief to carry me. I wanted to start carrying the grief.
I know you said it was a gradual thing that you got to the point where you said, okay, I need to let this go. But can you recall some kind of strong words somebody said to you or one moment that it clicked in your mind that now is the time?
Yes, I can. There was actually an event. Like I said, with Kason, we were trying to get pregnant for years. It was very difficult. It wasn't just, okay, let's start trying and pop up pregnant. So Kason passed away March 20th, 2018. And on Thanksgiving Day, 2018, I found out I was pregnant.
Mm.
So that moment, I knew I had to let go. That was the moment that I heard God telling me, I got you. I'm here. Like,
Mm.
I got you. Like, you're going to be a mom. You're going to get through this. And you are going to use this pain for purpose. And you are going to raise this young man to do great things. And we're never going to forget about Kason and what you went through. We're going to use it to help other people. So once I became pregnant, all my chest pain went away.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, my chest don't hurt anymore. I don't feel
Hmm.
like I'm having a heart attack anymore. Um, so it was definitely, I feel like it was God saving me because I don't think if I wouldn't have got pregnant, I don't think I would be here. I don't
Wow.
think I would be here.
You use your platform now to send the message to women to tell them what?
If you're going through a hardship, if you're drowning, don't sink. You have to fight. You have to be involved in saving yourself. If that means yelling for help, grabbing the raft, kicking your legs, swinging your arms, you have to fight to get out of whatever situation you're in, whether it's divorce, child loss, loss of a job, whatever is taking you under, you can't cave into it. You got to fight back. It's it's an action. It
Say
helps.
that again. It's an action,
It's
right?
an action.
Mm-hmm.
It's an
Mm-hmm.
action. You have to. You know, everybody can't, you know, turn their pain around. They suffer in it and they die in it. And
Yeah.
then, or they be on their deathbed and they say, I wish I could have. I should have. I wish I would have sought therapy. I wish I would have talked to somebody. I just wish I would have opened up to somebody. But some people hold that in their whole life and they take it, you know, to the deathbed with them. So I would say my message to the women is when you're going through something, be active in your healing. Do what you have to do to find community, read your Bible, get in your scripture, move your body, go for walks. The healing, it'll come, but you got to participate in it.
And what does healing look like for you today? What is your life like?
I still miss my son. You know, I always will. I still honor him, but I live fully now. You know, I can laugh now without feeling guilty. I show up. Um, and I try to not let his death be in vain by helping women survive. Healing isn't the absence of pain, it's learning how to live with it without it defining you. It's daily, it's discipline, it's staying close to God, it's managing my thoughts, and it's not isolating. So, healing is movement for me. Um, Today, my life looks really good. I don't really, only time I really struggle with my grief is during like his birthday or death day, those reminder days. But other than that, and of course, healing is up and down. One day you can be up, next day to be down, depending on you see something that trigger you. But now, because I was active in my healing and I went to therapy, I talk to people. I got tools now to deal with those days.
Mm.
And I know now that I can't sit in that feeling. I can feel it, but I can't stay there. I can't stay there because once you stay there, then that's when things start turning around.
It's not just walking away from the pain that you experience, but it's walking away from a person that you became in the pain. Like you said, you can't stay in that.
If I could just touch one woman, one person, one teenager that comes across my video and just let them know that just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Just keep going. You're going to get through what you're going through.
When
Yes.
you look back now, was there anything that your body was sending you signals like something's wrong, you need to address this now?
The first signal that I had was dizziness. It was like I was walking on a boat. Um, And of course, I was going to the doctor. When you go through something traumatic, when you go to the doctor, everything is anxiety. Everything. You're dizzy because you're anxious. You're dizzy because you're depressed. I'm like, no, something is wrong. So the second message would be speak up when you go to the
Mm.
doctor because they're going to tell you how you feel. I'm like, no, something is wrong. I feel like I'm walking on water. So that was kind of like my first sign that okay, something is going on. You need to start following up with doctors, and then I think that made me so anxious that it started other things. It just was like a downward spiral, and my stomach started hurting, and my chest started hurting.
We don't pay attention to our signals. Our bodies know everything. That's our intuition. Too many times, we as women, we're asking our girlfriends, we're asking our spouse, which is
Hmm.
great. I'm not knocking that, but we already know the answer.
I actually got a video on that on my channel about listening to your intuition. Very
See,
important. The body knows. There's a book that I read called The Body Keeps Score.
what's your final words to a woman who wants to reclaim her peace?
Draw near to God. Draw near to him. And he'll lead you, he'll direct you, he'll carry you when you can't walk.
Don't hold on to it.
Don't hold
Draw
on
near
to
to
it.
God. Yeah, I agree. Well, Kelly, I want to thank you for being willing to share something so personal and vulnerable with us today, because I know these conversations are not easy, but if they help even one woman, I'm sure you'll agree that it's worth it.
Yes, it's definitely worth it. Feel like that's my purpose now, to help women. So I know I'm not going to let my son's death be in vain. And I
Mm.
know that when I was going through it, that's what got me through it, was hearing other women's story that got through it. So I want to be that woman now.
What Kelly shared today is something a lot of women quietly carry, pain that slowly becomes part of who they think they are. And at first, anger can feel very powerful. It can even feel justified, and sometimes it is. But over time, it becomes very heavy and it starts to affect your nervous system, your sleep, your body, and even your joy. Sometimes the bravest fire inside you is not money or moving somewhere new. It's the fire inside you that says, I'm ready to reclaim my health, my mind, and my future. And that's the real power.